This video is brought to you by catbeast.com. Design your own custom snapbacks and hats.
I know that Anthony Joshua's desire to beat Andy Ruiz will be huge.
Adaptation. The ability to learn and come back stronger. An essential characteristic in every great fighter's skill set, and a trait which, for Anthony Joshua, will now be under the magnifying glass like never before.
He ain't that skillful. He's a good fighter.
He beat you?
Yeah, by a lucky punch. By a punch that was sent by the gods.
Despite having beaten the likes of Parker, Klitschko, and Povetkin, his 24th outing as a professional against Ruiz Jr. could be the biggest test of his career.
You know, he got knocked down 4 times. He gave up, in my opinion. Reading the signs and the body language, he gave up.
And as the final details loom, we look set for an end-of-the-year thriller in Saudi Arabia. Another experience that throws both fighters out of their comfort zone.
We gave it to him on neutral territory, so it's a level playing field for everybody. And we'll see who the best man is on December 7th in a clash on the dunes.
And whilst it's on neither fighter's home soil, it will come down to which man can best adapt and go to greater extremes to prevail.
If they don't fix what's wrong with Anthony Joshua, Andrew Ruiz wins that fight hands down.
Please click thumbs up, subscribe, and press the bell button to be notified of our latest videos. As, from both fighters' perspectives, we break down 10 reasons why, in a few months, the rematch could turn out to be very different. Welcome to a Motivedia presentation.
Started off slow, now the pedal to the flow. Made our own wave so they can't knock the boat. Game of Thrones with my coats.
This video is sponsored by CatBeast, an online store where you can create custom embroidered hats at the click of a button. Press the link in the description below and create your custom snapback today.
And for boxing, we can't be naive enough just to think that boxing exists in London and Cardiff and New York and Vegas. There's a whole nother world out there.
Recently, terms were agreed, with both men agreeing to fight in the Middle East. Luckily for UK fans, it will be just 2 hours ahead of normal time.
Sunset. Beautiful.
However, from the perspective of the Americans, it sits around 5 and 7 p.m. Eastern Time, undoubtedly clashing with some other high-profile events.
But they're putting it on in the afternoon, head-to-head with the SEC Championship game, and a really inopportune time. Being
a Matchroom promoted card, the noise would most likely favor the Brit this time around. The question, again, comes down to which man turns up the most hungry on unfamiliar territory.
There's a lot of pressure on me, but I think Anthony Joshua has more to lose, you know? He's fighting a dangerous fighter like me.
He still remains the draw of the division, even in defeat. And the rematch with Andy Ruiz is huge, but you know, it's not really about the size of the fight, it's just about getting the win there.
The significance of this event far surpasses the initial fight at MSG, as 3 of boxing's most prestigious accolades hang in the balance.
What a stage, what a setting for AJ's US launch pad.
From what was initially considered a walkover from a bookmaker's perspective, we now have a near 50-50 fight. A man with nothing to lose is a dangerous man, and Ruiz performed phenomenally as the underdog.
He is making an absolute mockery of the bookies here, Andy Ruiz Jr.
Though, can he now do the same with the belts in his possession? Or can Joshua, familiar to the big stage, restore his dignity?
You know, people act like Ruiz just got lucky. You know, he's a very skilled fighter, has a ton of amateur fights and a great pro, you know.
The biggest factor is one which will only present itself as the fight plays out. The strategies that both men apply and how well they stick to them, especially considering either fighter is capable of totally changing their game plan.
Maybe, you know, from a mental perspective, he knows how dangerous Ruiz can be now, and he'll have more of an edge to him, you know?
Many believe that if Joshua sticks to what he labeled as boxing finesse against Parker, he can comfortably outpoint, maybe even stop Ruiz.
That long reach, 82 inches of Joshua.
What you're saying is the right hand can take you around the block, but a good jab will take you around the world.
But likewise, the Mexican-American fighter knows he has the power and ability to hurt AJ, and could even come straight for the kill.
Ruiz's speed and cunning and going in and knocking him out.
That's definitely a possibility.
Both men will have watched the fight back, and come December, most would agree Joshua has the biggest room for improvement.
If you put me and Ruiz in a machine, 9 times out of 10 I should beat him, and that was just his night.
Yeah. Unenthusiastic and somewhat disinterested first time out, a 6-month mental battle could now bring the best out of the Brit. And where Khan and other pundits suggested Joshua should switch trainers, the heavyweight has instead remained loyal to his team.
Maybe have a tune-up fight in between. I think it would be the biggest mistake if he goes back into a rematch with Andy Ruiz. He needs to have maybe 1 or 2 good wins and then go into it.
Though, call it mind games or not, many of his heavyweight rivals say it won't make any difference to the outcome.
I feel strongly he will lose the rematch because I don't think he know how he lost.
He quit. And that's it. Once you quit one time in your whole life, you're finished.
Marvin Hagler once said, "It's tough to get out of bed at 5 a.m. to do road work when you've been sleeping in silk pajamas." And having achieved almost everything the sport has to offer, Joshua admitted that he may have lost some of the passion.
It affects everyone differently. Michael Jordan made a lot of money and he was still Michael Jordan. Everybody's different. This guy did not look like he wanted to be there.
Something he will now have to rekindle to be his best in a few months' time.
Not as in love with it.
So yeah, you just lose a bit of passion for it when it's not as real as you thought it was.
Every fighter is different in their return from adversity, and after recently unveiling a more no-nonsense attitude, it's something nobody will really be able to gauge until it's time to go again.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Not least of all because Joshua has always insisted that his outlook has been legacy over money.
It's not just about Wilder, it's about me, my legacy, and reaching my potential. So I think I've got 10 years left in boxing, and I want to really cement my legacy.
Something that's easy to say on the way up when things are going your way, but something that will be scrutinized more than ever in the rematch. Whilst the circumstances are slightly different, the blueprint is there in Lennox Lewis's comeback win over Oliver McCall in the mid-90s.
It's over! Lennox Lewis got revenge!
And whilst the heavyweight contenders stack up with the introduction of Dubois, Usyk, and more, it sets up a truly career-defining night.
Of course, I named the 3 best heavyweights today in the division. And if you want to be the best, you have to fight with the best one. These guys today are the best ones.
On the flip side, after countless years of grinding, Ruiz Jr. has finally had a taste of the good life. Something, too, that could work either way.
You want to get a little more fit for your next fight with Joshua?
Yeah, that's right, man. But right now, just enjoying nice steak, some sushi.
Just like everything else, it all comes down to character. It could drive him to want more, to be the best he's ever been, or the comfort and fulfillment could be his demise.
This time around, our camp's gonna be just based on Joshua, and we're gonna focus on Joshua, and believe me, he's gonna come in great shape.
Fighters like Mayweather stand out in this case, since despite the riches, he was always able to train like he was broke.
Coming to you live from the Mayweather Boxing Club.
It's something special to watch. Just when you think you work hard, you watch him and go, whoa, I gotta work harder.
Probably the most bizarre thing about the first fight, barring the result, was the rumor mill that sprung into effect immediately afterwards.
There's been talk about, was he right in the dressing room? He was a little bit late coming out. What about beforehand in the ring? He was getting massage around the neck. The gum shield was a bit loose.
From the alleged pre-walkout panic attack, to being knocked out in sparring, to having a suspect chin, even that he threw the fight for a bigger payday in the rematch. All of which were just as swiftly shut down by both Eddie Hearn and Joshua himself.
I've spoken to him and I said to him, be honest, but how did you feel before the fight? He said, I felt absolutely fine. I got hit with a shot on the top of the head and I never recovered.
A classy, hands-up-high attitude that even seeped out an air of confidence for the rematch on their behalf.
That's just a thing. He got to work on his defense, and that's been a flaw with Joshua. Is that he don't always fight like a big man.
In favor of Ruiz, the rematch could be his opportunity to show the world that it wasn't just a fluke.
This is not a one-punch situation where the fight's over and we got lucky. This was no such thing, man. I mean, my fighter went down first.
That his speed, aggressiveness, and timing are simply too much, and that his experience and guile was simply overlooked. His fast hands and killer instinct, displayed by not letting Joshua off the hook, could be his calling card in the rematch. And considering he gets into range to let off his bombs, it could be a unification shot next for the first Mexican champ.
All that Mr. Nice Guy out of the ring, holding the belt, wanting pictures with Anthony Joshua. Well, now we know.
Joshua clearly backs his own ability, and this time he has put his money where his mouth is. In his own words, Ruiz will face a completely different beast in the rematch.
I need to take with me and say, well, now this is what I want to do. I want to unleash the beast. And I feel like it took a time like this.
And having a chance to work on all the things that failed him in the first fight, we can expect a tailor-made version of the Brit in December. After he was so close to ending it last time with his third-round barrage, will he capitalize second time around?
We didn't come this far to kind of stop. We didn't come this far to fold under pressure. We came this far, and I feel like we can definitely go a lot further.
There was no chance Joshua was going to avoid the rematch, putting himself on the line in do-or-die fashion. The Saudi heat could benefit either man, and 6 months difference could also benefit either man. Ultimately, it's a double show of courage that opens up a career-defining night, one that paves the way to the biggest title in the sport, undisputed.
Down to right for whatever, whenever.
And with the Wilder Fury rematch hopeful for early 2020, who knows where the belts will lie in another 12 months' time. With Manny Pacquiao's success as both a fighter and a senator, organizers of the 2020 presidential debates have suggested making presidential hopefuls take on professional boxers to show their potential. Elizabeth Warren versus Amit Pangal in an all-Indian fight. Cory Booker versus Adrian Broner. Can't wait for the trash talk on that one. And in the senior division, the Pac-Man himself versus fellow old guy, Uncle Joe Biden. So far, no fights for Golovkin. Apparently no one wants to make that Russian connection. Whatever the outcomes, you can be sure to expect a Motivedia presentation.